welcome to the PR module. We're here to talk to you about PR, but before we do that, we should probably talk to you about who we are. My name is Nick Robinson. I'm the co-founder of I Do My Own PR. My background is primarily creative director, head of content, and also I've had a radio show, so I've kind of sat on both sides of the media fence, so I know what makes a good story. And I've worked with lots of not-for-profit charities as well, and I have done some lecturing at the UTS Sydney, New South Wales. This is Joss.
Hello, I'm Jocelyn. I'm also the co-founder of I Do My Own PR. I have 20 years PR experience, and in that time I've worked with clients like big brands like Coca-Cola, American Express, Lego, you name it, I've probably worked in it. I've worked with various not-for-profits over that time, including Surf Life Saving Australia, and I now primarily work with not-for-profits, small businesses and startups, helping them get heard and seen in the media.
So what is exactly I Do My Own PR? Well, we're not a PR agency and we're not a course. What we are is a really super simple process you can follow. We've kind of been compared to the IKEA of the PR world, and what that means is you get a really simple process to follow, but before you start swearing, which is generally what happens when you're building IKEA furniture, one of us as an expert will pop out of the box and help you and put you back on track. And what's included in the kit is a super simple process. You get access to an expert, and we also give you the right media contacts to talk to. So really, everything is included.
So in this session, you'll learn what PR is and what it's not, why PR is important for building your brand, for raising awareness of what you do, and for fundraising. We'll talk about the importance of your call to action, and we'll tell you how to build a story for the media. We'll also talk about what a press release is, or otherwise known as a media release, and we'll give you some tips on reaching out to the media.
So let's start with what is PR, and I probably should be quiet and let you talk because you're the PR expert.
Well, there's actually lots of discussion about what PR is, and I reckon even though I've been in the industry for 20 years, my mum still doesn't know exactly what I do. But for the purpose of this, we'll talk about how to get media coverage, and that means how to get your organisation written up or talked about in the media, and that's newspapers, radio, TV, magazines, etc. So that's what we call editorial coverage.
So that's a really good point. Why is PR so important for your brand? You know, you can't place an ad on social media saying, hey, aren't I brilliant? Aren't I you? Should trust me. You just can't do that. But when a third party...
Well, you can, but people wouldn't trust you.
Yeah, they wouldn't trust you because they know you've paid for it. Everyone's paid for it and the algorithm loves you that day. But ultimately, when a journalist writes about you, it's a third party person writing about you and they're putting you in front of their audience. That's essentially what PR is. Any journalist you contact has a loyal following of tribe or readers or listeners or viewers. And they'll look at your product or they'll look at your service or your social enterprise and say, hey, I like these guys. I'm going to put them right in the middle of my audience. So it's all eyeballs on you, which is an amazing thing.
Yeah, but it's also trust and credibility. So when a third party, i.e. a journalist, writes about you, the understanding is that they've kind of done their due diligence, they've checked you out, that they've given you like the tick of approval, and then they write about you. So when someone reads that, they go, okay, I trust this, I really want to know more, and they're creating a full story.
So we just talked about trust and credibility, but PR gets you so much more for your social enterprise. It can bring your campaign to life. It gives you the chance to tell a real story. You get to talk about real results and really educate people and the supporters on what you actually do. And you can use the power of emotion to create a connection with your supporters. And that's super key. With an advert, you can't go too deep. With PR, you can really bring the situation to life and really connect with someone on an emotional level. So let's look at how PR might work with any existing things that you're doing in your business as far as marketing goes. So this is a campaign that I worked on for Mission Australia a few years ago, and it was a great campaign and it reached lots of people, and no doubt some of you will be also potentially doing some advertising and some campaigns. Even if you're just doing simple things like Facebook and social ads, that's still getting out to your customer base or who you're trying to target. So, this for Mission Australia was a direct marketing pack and an ad campaign. And we're not saying that PR replaces any of these activities, but imagine if you could use PR in conjunction. You can really sort of deepen that story and create a deeper connection with your supporters.
So imagine if you could go from an ad and the people in the ad to creating a discussion about those people in the ad. For example, this is Linda. She works in marketing, and until last week she had a really great job and she had a roof over her head. So what went wrong? I mean, that's the discussion that you want to start creating. You want to start creating an emotional connection with Linda in the ad. So you want people to start thinking, gosh, okay, well, what if that happened to me? You know, what if I had nowhere to go? Could it really happen that easily? And then think about little Tom to the right. You know, what if he's a 4-year-old and he's sitting next to her? What about him? You know, what does Mission Australia do for those people to help those individuals?
Yeah, so telling that story is big news, and you can potentially tell that story if you use the media to the whole of Australia. That's like 28, 29 million people that are fully engaged in your message. It's real people, real emotion, real story. That's the power of PR.
So let's have a look at what a story might look like. Here's an example of an organisation that actually used our kit to get media coverage. They are the Lane Beachleys Aim for the Stars Foundation, and you can see in this piece of coverage that actually they didn't so much focus on their organisation, but rather a case study of another person or business that they have helped through their organisation. The aim of the coverage was to raise awareness of the scholarships and drive applications, but also to get the general public to donate. So you can see from this is not an ad, it's a story. It's brought to life, it's written by a journalist, and they sent a photographer down, obviously, to capture that story, and they sent a journalist down to interview Nip from Gigi Flowers about how the organisation had helped her.
She's got an amazing story as well, because her business, she basically empowers people that can't get jobs in the usual workplace, and her sister
has Down
syndrome. So her sister really struggles to find a job anywhere else, but Nip set up this business and employs people like her sister, so they feel empowered, they have purpose, and that's really amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say you're sold on PR and how it can help your organisation. You are probably thinking, where on earth do I begin? So we'll now take you through some key pointers to get you started.
So look, you've got to start with your call to action. It has to be memorable, and it has to kind of hook people in, and it has to make them stop and think. And it has to clearly say what you want them to do next. You know, what do you want these people to do after they've read, heard, or seen your piece of PR? And it has to be something that's easy for people to do.
The one thing I'd also say about your call to action is that it has to be consistent across all of your materials. So if you're putting a call to action in an ad or a piece of DM or your Facebook, you want the call to action to be the same in the stories that go out, so that the same call to action is being seen numerous times.
So let's talk about how to build a story. Now, our analogy is a little bit like making a cake. So flour on their own, milk, eggs on their own, nothing. But if you put them together with the right instruction in the right way, you can actually get something pretty tasty. And so we've built a little process. We call it baking the cake, but it really helps you nail what's your story and all the various elements.
So we're going to look at various layers to the cake, and we'll start with the base layer. So we call this your base story, and it's the essence of what you're trying to do. So whether you're fundraising or raising awareness, you know, what is it that you're trying to do? Are you trying to, raise funds to build a shelter for homeless people? Are you asking for donations to, fix a roof for a local scout wall, or whatever it is that you're doing? It needs to be that key message. It's the foundation of your story. We then add what we call substance. Now, this is like the research and the statistics that help a journalist craft an article that's rooted in actual fact rather than just opinion and anecdotes. And you can reference statistics from existing reports that are out there, or you can use your own studies, whichever you have. Obviously, if you've got your own studies, that's awesome. But it has to be a credible source. So the survey has to be more than just a few people. We generally say, around 200 people, 250 people as a kind of a base is a good place to start. We then look at what we call colour. So the success of building a story, and you can see this when we were talking about the story with Nip. the colour is Nip and her sister. So the success of building a strong story and making that connection with people reading or hearing about it is making it as personal to as many people as possible. So how do you show how the issue that you solve, the problem that you go out of your way, or your organisation addresses, how does that affect people's lives, and how do you persuade people to actually care? Well, we do this by putting a spotlight on someone who has experienced the problem. You know, it's someone that you've helped or you're helping, and it's someone that's willing to talk about the issue from their personal experience. And we call this person a case study. The more you can find, the more sort of, I guess, varied case studies that you can find to talk to different media, the better. And especially if you're a national organisation, you really need to try and find a case study in each state, because each metro, whether that's paper or radio or TV, they will want their local angles. So, you know, if you can find that person, you know, Joe from your local town, and how you're helping that person through your organisation, that's where the real gold comes in. The next layer is what we call credibility. And this is when you find an independent expert, someone that's not connected to your organisation, that gives your story a bit more credibility. So, for example, you know, if your organisation is medically based, for example, let's just say that you know, you're trying to find a cure for something, finding an independent doctor to back up that story is really helpful. So if it's like mental health, you know, find a psychologist to say, yes, this is a problem. Find a leader in the community and who's willing to talk about, you know, this is the future of the community. The key is that they mustn't be connected to your organisation, and they must be an authority in their area. They have to be an expert. So they can talk about the issue as a whole and how it's a problem, not just talking about your organisation and how you solve it. Then you need a spokesperson. This tends to be you. It tends to be the person that is driving the comms behind all of your organisation, but it can also be like the CEO or the founder, or it could be the treasurer, whoever is the authority behind your business. And they need to be a credible spokesperson to speak on behalf of your organisation and explain what it is that you do. They are the way that you bring the story back to you and your cause. And they should be comfortable talking on radio and TV as well. And the last part of the cake is the cherry on top, and that is the photo or the visual or the footage that goes with it. And this can be almost as important as the content of the story itself. So who will you put forward? What will the setting be? Will it be your case study, and in showing what it is that your organisation does, really bringing to life the issue and the solution that you provide? It could be just your spokesperson showing, you know, the problem visually. Whatever it is, you really need to think about what it is that you'll give the media.
So Jocelyn's obviously talked you through the cake diagram and how that works and how it kind of gets all your thoughts ordered. We're now going to come and talk to you about the press release, and that seems to be the most used and associated kind of name with PR. Or media release.
They're the same thing.
Right, so basically a press release, it just gets everything in the right order, in the right place for a journalist to read and go, okay, I get this. I get that there's the base story. I get that there's a really nice quote. I get that there's a really powerful case study. So they can very quickly scan this piece of paper that shouldn't be any more than, say, a page and a half of A4, and they can look at all that really important information and say, this is something I'd really like to cover. That's essentially all the press release is. And the good thing is, when you follow our process in our kit, you pretty much just cut and paste base story, case study, quote, and put it into the press release. And you can see that in the graphic here. So to finish, we're just going to give you some top tips on what we believe are the best things you can do to get media coverage.
Right, so the first tip is to make sure you read the publication, watch the program, or listen to the radio station, radio program that you're going to contact. and find the writer, the producer that actually talks about or likes to write about charities. Read some of the past stories that they've written, and then you can contact them knowledgeably, knowing about the stories that they like. So the second tip is around how you actually contact the journalists. You will email your press release to the contact, and the first thing to remember with that is that you don't send the same email and the same press release to a whole bunch of journalists in the same email. You can't CC them, and don't blind copy them, because they will know. You have to find out their first name and use it. So you're saying, hello, John, love the story that you wrote about X charity. I thought you might be interested in this. The third tip is that journalists love statistics. Find some published research on your issue, and if you don't have any already to use, because this will really help the journalist to highlight the gravity of the situation. Fourth tip is to use real people as case studies to bring your cause to life. Use them to show how you help people and how your organisation has improved their lives. And the fifth tip is to keep it local. If you're a local charity, focus on the media in your local area. If you're a national charity, think locally, still think locally. Find those case studies in the areas that you want to target and or the places that you need to increase awareness in. So for example, if you need to increase awareness in New South Wales, go to the Daily Telegraph and find someone in New South Wales that can bring your story to life. Find that case study.
So thank you for sitting through all that. We hope it's kind of give you an education to what PR is and how it can help you. Now, if you do want to do PR, included in your toolbox is our kit, where we wish you all the best. PR is a powerful tool, and it can do really amazing things for your organisation. And we will say goodbye.
Goodbye. Thanks for watching. I hope it helped.